Hello everyone and welcome to the show. This is Andy Shed Live. It is series 16 episode number 20 for Sunday the 29th of December 2024. Yes, it's getting towards the end of the year. New Year will be with us in just a couple of days time. Not sure if that's a good thing or not, but anyway, it's coming, whatever we think of it. Still not got the computer working quite right, as you can see from the dodgy caption cards and things, but we will get there. Just got to get the chat up, which I will find in a moment. There we are, live there. And the live chat. Who we got? We got Bills is here in the chat. Bill says, "How do you list the number of episodes?" It's quite simply, Bills. I start at 1 and work up. So the last one we did, proper one we did, was 19, which means this one must be 20. I do sometimes have to double check though, and make sure of which one's which, because I don't always know. But yeah, then when we take a break, we start in a new series. When we've taken a break, we normally end up with about 20 odd in a run before we sort of take a break. So yeah, there's no real hard and fast way of numbering them, sort of thing, but we've done so many now though, so many. Yeah, it's just been absolutely bonkers, the number that we've done. Yeah, remember, if you are watching this, although I can't get the chat on the screen at the moment, I'm working on that, but we've got a problem with the software that I've reinstalled the software, you see, onto my computer after the computer crashed the other week. I've reinstalled all the software, but it's installed a new version of the software, and this new version of the software seems quite buggy compared to the old version, and it's giving me problems that the old version didn't give me. So I'm still working on trying to suss it out. One thing that I have sussed out though is, for those of you who were on Patreon and who supported me on Patreon, you may remember that last month we basically closed Patreon down because they were doing some stupid things, and they also take quite a big cut of the money that people are kind enough to donate. We have gone from Patreon over to Buy Me a Coffee. So if anybody wants to support what we do, if any of you old Patreon people want to support what we do, you can give us a support here. It's at buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed, and think of it as a virtual tip jar, and you can put into the virtual tip jar whatever amount you want, £1, £2, £3, whatever, you can put into the virtual tip jar. If people just put in a quid an episode, it would make a massive difference to what we can do. But it's there. It's at buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed. Remember the two S's in Andy's and Shed. buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed, which is and it's a one-off thing. It's a one-off. At the minute, it's set off as a one-off payment. So if you make a payment on there, it is a one-off thing. It doesn't keep coming at you every month. Right, okie dokie. What have I been up to over Christmas? Been ridiculously busy. Absolutely ridiculously busy. This is on top chat again. It wants to be on live chat. How do I alter it? Hang on. messages. That's better. Right, we're on all messages now. Although only Bill's messages are showing up so far. But there's more of you watching. I know there's more of you watching than Bill's, so don't be shy. Say hello in the chat. Get onto the YouTube chat and say hi there. Right, what have we been up to over Christmas? Not a great deal, actually. Not a great deal. It's gone surprisingly quickly and stuff. I've had 1 or 2 orders for the model railway kits and that we've been making. As you may or may not know, I have been making narrow gauge model railway kits, which are for sale through eBay and also through our own shop at Andy's Emporium. Andy'sEmporium.coldpress.net is where you will find the shop. This is the latest kit that we've been doing. It is a narrow gauge 009 scale, for those of you in the railway modelling world, goods van. This comes in kit form, and this is one I've assembled over the last couple of days, just to show how they look. So we've done that, and we've also got a little 3-plank wagon as well. Can you see that? And you can fit your own couplers to them if you want. I put my own design of couplers on these that are part of the 3D printing process, but you can fit your own couplers to them quite easily. So they will be available. Don't think these 2 are on eBay and on the shop yet, but they will be. So yeah, Andy'sEmporium.coldpress.net is the shop, or you can find me on eBay if you just type in something like narrow gauge 09 narrow gauge kit. You'll find the ones that we do. We do a semi-open coach at the moment, and a tank wagon, which is basically this one. This little tank wagon is on eBay at the minute. £7.50 if you buy it on eBay, and it comes complete with couplers now, and it's also got metal wheels that spin really freely. So it's a really good thing. That runs really well. So those are on at the moment, and the brake van, the goods van and the open wagon are coming soon, and there'll be a brake van following soon as well. Don't know what's happened. Don't know what's happening to the chat tonight. This chat sometimes seems to stop. I don't have faith in the fact it's running. It seems to go and completely stop. So yeah, so that is one of the things that I've been doing recently, and so I've got a load of stuff on the desk. Oh, here's one of the open coach bodies. Here's a body for the open coach that's halfway through being painted. It's not going to be that colour entirely when it's done, don't worry about it, but that's one that's been painted at the moment. Regarding the telephones, we've had an arrival. We've had a new arrival in the old telephone department. I have a feeling Arthur probably had something to do with this, but I'm not certain. But I have a feeling. One of these has arrived. I never thought there would come a day where I'd be saying that these are vintage, but they are. Yeah. Well suntanned, this one actually. You can see. Can you see here how brown it is compared to under here where it's still its original grey colour? This is just a problem with the ABS plastic. of course, but the thing about this phone is it's got no cords on it. Even the handset is not actually connected to it, but there is an internal little plug thing. But the trouble is, the GPO, or BT, or Telecom as it was at the time, have made various connections inside the phone with these 4-pin sockets. So working out what goes where, instead of using different plugs and sockets for each thing, they've used the same one. So you've got to know what plugs into where, and I don't know what plugs into where at the moment. So I've got to take another one of these phones apart and work it out, and then hopefully we'll be able to get this one going. This is quite an interesting one because it can do tone dialing, because you'll see it has got a star and a hash key on it, so it will be able to do tone dialing, this one. So that is pretty good. But that's all that's arrived in the telephone line at the moment. There's not been a massive amount of stuff come my way. Right, moving swiftly on. The Blackpool debacle about the trams in Blackpool. Got a little bit more news about what's been going on there, but if you've not been following it, I will bring you up to speed. A few weeks ago, it'll be, it must be 3 or 4 weeks ago now, Blackpool Transport, which is the company that runs the trams in Blackpool as well as the buses and is owned by the local council, put out a statement that said they were suspending operation of all the vintage trams indefinitely. They made lots of excuses as to why they were doing it, one of which was that the modern trams, the LRVs, the horrible plastic things, have to be fitted now with special safety equipment, things called ODAS cameras, obstacle detection and avoidance system, which are basically cameras that look through the windscreen of the tram, and if they sense a person in front of the tram, slam the brakes on because they think the driver's not got eyes, basically. And they were making out all sorts of reasons why they weren't running the vintage trams anymore, and this was one of the things that they cited as a reason. Interesting. The rail regulator, the Office of Road and Rail, have weighed in and said it's nothing to do with them. They've not required Blackpool Transport to fit ODAS cameras to the vintage trams, they say, and in fact ODAS cameras are not required on vintage vehicles because they operate on a line of sight basis, and they rely on the driver to look where he's going, which is common sense, isn't it, really, when you think about it. So the Office of Road and Rail have basically weighed in and said, look, it's Blackpool Transport's fault that they took the vintage trams off. It's got nothing to do with us. Don't give us hassle about it. So it's nothing to do with the Office of Road and Rail. It is purely to do with Blackpool Transport. Word is, it might be for financial reasons now that they've done it. And I think that could be quite a complicated story in itself. But we'll probably go into it a bit more maybe next week. Just bear with me a minute. Thor's barking his head off. I think he wants to go out. Do you want to go outside? Eh? You want to go out, mate, with your tea? There you go. Good boy. It's gone out. It's just had its tea, you see, so he decided he wanted to go outside now. So yeah, yeah. The latest word from Blackpool is that they are saying, sorry, I was reading something there. They are saying that hopefully the vintage trams will be back in service in the summer. So let's keep on to that. Because yeah, they're up to something. They're up to something. But the whole withdrawal, suspension of the vintage trams has been entirely mismanaged, in my opinion. And if I was on Blackpool Council, I would be calling for the general manager of the transport department, or Blackpool Transport Services Limited it is now. It's a woman called Jane Cole. Basically she would not have a job in 2025 if it was down to me, because she has done an absolutely terrible PR job of managing this news. Absolutely awful. Don't know what the heck she was thinking of. Yeah, so I'm just reading some things. Right, so that is what has happened there. So that's what's been going on in Blackpool. Now, of course, it's not the only thing at the side of the sea that's been causing controversy over the last couple of weeks or so. What about all these UFOs and drones and orbs and things that have been seen everywhere? If you look on YouTube and stuff, you'll find lots of information about it, about things that have been seen sort of on the east coast of America. But actually, these things have been seen all around the world. There is footage of the same things being seen in Peru, the same things being seen in Spain, and here in the UK on a number of occasions. One lot on Merseyside and another lot in Cambridgeshire. So if you're going out in the evenings while it's dark nights and that, do look up and see what's in the sky, because it might be something weird. And if it is weird, get your phone out, your camera or whatever you've got, and take a picture and take some video of it, because there have been weird things in the sky. You may remember about a month ago, or maybe a bit more now, I showed footage on here of a Starship launching, one of Elon Musk's starships being launched, and I showed footage of a silver orb dancing around that starship as it went up. And the interesting thing about it is, nobody who was commentating on any of those live streams mentioned it. Absolutely no one mentioned it, and I've not been able to find out any information about it, but it was definitely there. This whole thing was definitely there. So yeah, who knows? Bill says it's satellites or the International Space Station. No, it's neither of those things, Bill. They move too fast to be satellites. They're not high enough up to be satellites. They're way too bright and the wrong colour to be satellites. Satellites tend to just look like dim stars. These are bright orange glowing spheres in the sky, a lot of them, and they move at speed. So there's no way they can be satellites. There's no way they can be the space station. I've seen the space station. I've actually seen the space station in daylight. I was at a country show sort of thing a few years ago. Probably about 5 or 10 years ago now, and the local astronomical society was there, and they'd all got the telescopes set up, and it was a bright sunny summer's day, and they got these telescopes set up, and of course these telescopes have got motors on them and they self-track on the sky, and they were letting you have a look through these telescopes, and it said, have a look through that, see what you can see. And I looked through this telescope, and damn me, in the eyepiece of the telescope is the space station, and it doesn't look like a dot or a light. You can properly see it's a space station with all the modules and the solar panels, and it was, somebody said draw a space station, it was what you would draw with all the big oblong solar panels sticking out of it and that, and it was unbelievable. It was like you could reach out and touch it. I don't know what magnification these telescopes must have been, but it was just like you were there, maybe standing half a mile away from the space station, and you could see it through the telescope, but you couldn't see it in the sky if you looked up in daylight. No chance. But they knew where it was, you see, what coordinates it was supposed to be at a given time, and so they could put that into their telescopes, and telescopes moves around and locks on, and space station's there. But yeah. Yeah. So no, unfortunately, these things that we are seeing, although I've not seen them personally, not on this occasion anyway, these things are definitely not the space station, and definitely not satellites. Some people have said, are they Elon Musk's Starlink satellites? They're not those either, because when they go up, they're not massively visible. But if you do see them, when they've just been launched, they're in like a chain, and then they gradually spread out. Yeah, it's not them. And when Joe Rogan asked Elon Musk, Joe Rogan is an American guy who does some very popular, very in-depth podcasts with people who are in the news. He did one with Elon Musk, and he asked if Elon had any signs of extraterrestrial life, sending up all these space rockets and that, and Elon was uncharacteristically cagey on the subject, shall we say, because Elon normally talks about stuff, but he clammed up when Joe Rogan asked him about that. So we will see what these things are, but they are being seen all over the place, and although it's only been reported in the news for about a month, they've actually been seen for months and months on end. There's footage of the same things, these orange lights in the sky, going back to the early part of 2024 rather, going back to the early part of 2024, so it's not just been a month, they've been around longer than that. So what are they? Who knows? Could be anything. Oh, Gambo is with us. Hi Gambo. He says, hi peeps, I've made it home. Finished later than hoped. Oh well, at least you are finished, Gambo. Have you got all your deliveries done today? God, it's Sunday. Do you deliver on a Sunday? Yeah. So, yeah. Have you seen any weird things in the sky, Gambo, while you've been out and about? I think the reason people don't see weird stuff in the sky is because they don't look up a lot of the time. Because if I go outside at night, I live on top of a hill here. We're right on top of a hill here. We're 1,000+ feet above sea level. Probably getting on for 2,000 feet above sea level. Right on top of a hill. You know, you can see for miles and miles and miles on a clear day. And when I used to go dog walking about 10 o'clock at night, you know, it's a dark, starry sky, and it was a regular occurrence that I used to see stuff that I couldn't explain. And I'm not an idiot. I know what an aeroplane looks like, or what a helicopter looks like, or even what a planet looks like. You know, because Venus often gets identified as a UFO because it's like a very bright star. You know, but I know what all these things look like. I've seen them all before, and I used to quite regularly see things that were none of the above. And I saw them with my own eyes. I wasn't looking through a camera lens, so I could tell if they were moving about or if the camera was shaking. The camera wasn't shaking because the camera were my eyes. And I used to regularly see stuff. And I would say, if you'd spent a week with me, Monday to Friday, let's say, and you'd gone out Monday to Friday with me at 10 o'clock at night to walk the dog, at least once you'd have seen something weird in the sky. It was that frequent. So I don't know what's up there, but there's stuff up there they are not telling us about. And all my life I've noted stuff like this, and I've caught people out. You know, I've caught television networks out and stuff. You know, I've gone searching for missing episodes of programs that dealt with the subject of UFOs, and then the program has mysteriously vanished out of the archive. You know, there's something going on. There is something very, very fishy going on. Bill says, Gambo, with the delivery driver, how do you find the correct parcel? Is it manually? Gambo says, yeah, we deliver 7 days a week, apart from Christmas and Boxing Day and New Year's Day. Not seen any strange things in the sky, but I've seen a few rockets in the streets. Bill says, maybe the UFOs are following you, Andy. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Yeah. Just see them regularly, and I think the only reason I see them is because I look. I think when most people are not out at night, or the ones who are out at night are outside for as little time as possible, or they're driving a vehicle, you know, and they've got reflections in a windscreen, they don't notice stuff. But when you're actually stood on top of a dark hill, and you're properly outside, you've not got a sheet of glass in front of you, you notice stuff. And if you want to see something weird in the sky, all you've got to do is look up, because there is more stuff up there than you would expect, let's say. Yeah, a lot more stuff up there than you would expect. What it is, I wouldn't like to say. I've got no idea what it is, but but I find it highly suspicious. I find all the moon landing stuff very suspicious from the 60s. We'd had colour video for 10 years by the time astronauts landed on the moon. Colour high definition video. So why, oh why, with something as important as the moon landing, do we only have very, very blurry, shaky, low definition black and white footage of it? It just does not make sense. Gambo says maybe you have a key component that they need to call home. Yeah, possibly, Gambo. Do you think they need a GPO Viscount? Phone home. It's quite a good ET, that, isn't it? Ah, oh, most disappointing television or disappointing movies. God, E.T. has got to be the most overrated movie of all time. I don't know what Steven Spielberg was thinking of when he did E.T. I remember it coming out at the cinema and being big queues round the block to see it. I didn't go and see it at the time. I saw it years later on TV, and I thought, oh, I wonder what all the hype was about E.T. and that. And it looked terrible, this rubber puppet waddling around. And it just didn't look realistic at all. And an E.T. spaceship that's actually about this big, a big round spaceship that's about the size of slightly bigger than a football. You know, it's supposed to look massive in the movie. It looks like it's slightly bigger than a football in the movie. It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible film. You know, they remake films and that. No, George Lucas has messed with all the Star Wars and redone all the special effects and that. God, they ought to redo E.T. because it's terrible. It's really, really, really bad. Bill says he thinks it's the mercury resistors, yeah, the mercury relays in the trim phones that they're coming for. Maybe aliens eat mercury. Bill says, why do you walk the dog at 10 p.m? Because it was when she wanted to go out, you know, sort of last thing at night, you know, she wanted to go out for a walk and that. And so I used to walk her about 10 o'clock. And yeah, just up the road and back, like 10 minutes up the road and back. I weren't going for miles. I weren't going like miles across the moors or anything like that, you know. It was 5 minutes up there and 5 minutes back. And you'd see something weird in the sky in that amount of time. That's why I'm saying it's more common than you think if you actually just look up. If you went outside every night and just sat and looked up at a big chunk of sky for 10 minutes every night, I bet you within a week you'd have seen something weird. Wesley is with us. Evening, Wesley. Hope you've had a good Christmas and everything. Yeah. Well, maybe it's Wesley. Maybe it's Wesley and his supersonic top secret aeroplane that we've all been seeing. But the thing is, whatever it is that's up there, there's lots of them. That's the other thing as well. It's not one light in the sky we're talking about at the moment. It's like 50 lights in the sky all at once. And yeah, it's well weird. It really is. And it's surprising how the news is not reporting it. And you always know when there's something important going on, because the news goes about it. They might mention it at the very beginning, and then they suddenly go and don't mention it again. And you think, well, you spoke about this yesterday. what's the update today? And they act like it never happened. It wasn't me, says Wesley. Alright, so you're off the hook then. So I wonder who it is. But yeah, it's weird. And then there's these drones in the sky as well. What they're calling drones, what the Americans are calling drones, and they do look a bit like drones. Until you realise that the flashing lights are not in the correct configuration to be FAA approved navigation and marker lights. They are not in the correct configuration for that. And also, these drones, people have watched them and they've been in the air for 6 hours. Now anybody who's got a drone, you know, anybody who's maybe got a DJI drone for Christmas for going up and taking video and stuff, will know you're lucky if a drone flies for 20 minutes. If a drone will fly for 20 minutes on a battery, you're quite lucky. Generally it's more like about 10 minutes. People are watching these drones and they're up in the sky for 6 hours or more, and that's not including them getting there in the first place, because where are they coming from? And they're disappearing off back again. It's weird. Gambo says, Andy, I sent an email regarding Patreon. Right, I shall have a look for it, Gambo. As I've explained, Patreon is now, at least should now, be shut down. If it's not, I want to know why, because they have been instructed to close it down, and we've gone to buy me a coffee instead, which just does like one-off things. Think of it as a tip jar, and it's there. That's the link to it, buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed. I've actually set it up, or finished setting it up, because I started setting it up a few weeks ago, but just finished setting it up this afternoon. So as yet nobody's used it, so it's totally brand new today. So yeah, so it's all been happening over the last couple of weeks, and that I've been absolutely glued to YouTube to see what's been going on in the world. And then there's the aeroplane, of course, that's landed, and the pilots forgot to put the landing gear down, killed everybody on board except for 2. That's the latest thing in the news today. Word coming in is that the pilots, there was a bird strike on the aeroplane, and because of the bird strike, it put the pilots into a panic, and they forgot to put the landing gear down. So possibly not the best airline to fly with if the pilots forget to put the wheels down before it lands. Yeah. I always remember what Groucho Marx said about aeroplanes. He said, if God had meant us to fly, he'd have given us tickets. Yeah. So, yeah, weird stuff in the sky that shouldn't be there, and stuff that should be there that doesn't manage to stay there. So, yeah, not been very good for stuff dropping out of the sky and that just recently. But yeah, these drones and orbs and things, though, it is weird. It is weird, and it's weird now independently. I saw that one on that live stream of Starship being launched a few weeks ago, and I came on here and I showed you the footage on here of it, and I said, what is that behind that Starship? And then just a few weeks later, we've got all these orbs and things, and people are noticing them, but nobody on that live stream. And that Starship launch was being recorded by umpteen different YouTubers, by SpaceX themselves, then there were various people taking those different streams and doing live commentaries on them, and not one of them, as far as I'm aware, mentioned that thing that was so clearly visible. Not one of them mentioned it. What was it? Yeah, just weird. Just really, really, really weird. So, yeah. Strange things. Right. Ultimate chat window. It's very hard to see. I've got it on my phone at the minute, and it's very hard to see because A, it's written quite small, and B, it's a long way away. So I could almost do with binoculars on to read the chat tonight. But it is there. So yes, there's not been a massive amount happening on the telephone front while I've been building the model railway kits, or at least printing out the model railway kits for somebody else to build, because we've got an order for some more in at the moment. So when I come off here tonight, the 3D printer that you can see just tucked behind me here is going to be going into overdrive again. Start printing again. So yes, the printer, by the way, some people asked the other week what the printer is. It's a Creality Ender 3, the printer. It's quite old now. I've had it 3 or 4 years perhaps now, so it's not the newest 3D printer, but it is quite a good one. I can recommend the Creality printers, and particularly the Ender 3. It's a pretty damn good one. Once you get all the settings right. The hard bit about 3D printing is getting the settings right, so the plastic all melts together, but it doesn't melt into a big homogeneous mess, sort of thing. But yeah, you can do all sorts with it. You've got a little loco here for the narrow gauge. It's not got its roof on yet. Here's its roof, because I've been painting it, you see. Yeah, there it is with its roof, a little narrow gauge tram loco. But yeah, we've printed all sorts of things on it over time. What you do get though is you do get a lot of waste. You get, when you print on what they call a raft. A lot of the time, I find it's best to use. You don't have to print on a raft, but I find it's best to. And when you've done your print, it's like printed this base, and then the thing that you want on top of it. So you end up with all these bits of base and that you have to break off, what they call the supports. And this is just a little tuffle. I've chucked a load in the bin, actually. But there ought to be a way of recycling this, I feel. And there is. You can buy things to recycle it, but they're bonkersly expensive. They're basically like a mincer for plastic that not only minces it up, but it also heats it up and then extrudes it into a new thing of filament. It's not a massively complicated machine, but they'll make £1,000 to buy one. It's crazy money. So it's cheaper just to throw the filament in the bin. But it didn't ought to be the case. We ought to be recycling this stuff. So yeah, we need the recycling extruders to come down in price quite considerably. Because I've got loads of this leftover filament. So if anybody knows what to do with it, it's PLA and PLA plus, most of it that I've got here. But if anybody has got one of those machines by any chance, or knows somebody who's got one, well, we could recycle this filament. get in touch. You will find all the contact details as normal on the website at andyshed.coalpress.net. That's andyshed.coalpress.net. Right, how are we getting on? Gambo says he sent an email about Patreon. I will just check it, Gambo, while we are on. Because the email is, of course, when the computer died the other week, the email all went wrong as well. Yeah, it's given us problems, shall we say. But I'm hoping that we are back in business. Oh, there's been a message from Christopher 2000. It says, "Hi Andy, just letting you know I'm going to be doing a live stream on New Year's Day, doing my UK GEC air raid siren at 12 AM as I got my siren motor working again, and it's going to be awesome." So I assume he's doing it at 12 AM. So that'll be midnight. But will it be midnight Australia time? I assume it will. So I don't know if he's exactly 12 hours out from us. I don't think he is. But anyway, it's Christopher 2000, so look him up on YouTube if you want to see him waking up off of Australia in the early hours of New Year's Day with his air raid siren. It should be quite amusing, I think. Jambo, if you've sent me an email, I don't know where it's gone, because it ain't here. When did you send it, Jambo? Oh, I've got it, I think. It says, looking through, I've been fleeced and noticed a Patreon payment on the 3rd of December. Was this the last one, or was it supposed to be cancelled by then? Right, that's a good question, Gambo, because it was the 3rd of December, wasn't it, which was a while ago. I think that was probably after I had cancelled it, but before PayPal confirmed it had been stopped, because the way it works, PayPal does everything on a certain day of the month. So if you don't cancel it before, like, so many days before their action day sort of thing, then their action day goes ahead even though you have subsequently cancelled it. So that is either the very last one, Gambo, or yeah, it should be, I thought the November one should have been the last one, but perhaps 3rd of December is the last one. So keep an eye on it in January, because there definitely should not be one in January. But that would have been between me cancelling it and them coming back to me and confirming it had all been cancelled, and the bank shutting it down and that. So it was in that sort of transition period, perhaps. Yeah, I've just got your thing that says you sent the thing about 11 today. Yeah, I got it 11:30. Yeah, cool. See, I've not looked at my phone much today because I've been busy. Been really busy actually this last week or so. I thought it was going to be quiet over Christmas, but that has not happened. that has not happened at all. Yeah, right, okay, we've sorted that then, I think. Right, yeah, so it's goodbye to Patreon, that we have now stopped using. Why have we stopped using Patreon, I hear you ask? A couple of reasons, basically. Apple had forced them to do certain things, and Apple was going to start taking a chunk of the money that was given through Patreon, and Patreon had basically just rolled over and gone, yeah, alright then, which I think was wrong. I don't think you should give in to bullies like Apple. Basically that's why we've pulled out of using Patreon. So we're now using Buy Me a Coffee. Also with Patreon, I had a devil of a job getting my money out of them because it was in US dollars, and it transferred into a PayPal account from Patreon. You know, when I came to cash it out, transferred it into a PayPal account, but it put it into the PayPal account as US dollars, which I then couldn't withdraw because the PayPal account is in British pounds. It wouldn't let me withdraw the US dollars. I think I've got a way around it now. I think I've sorted out how to do it now, but it was not easy. Yeah, and PayPal's website, no, not PayPal, Patreon's website, my end of Patreon, where you could put posts and content on and that, I very rarely did because it was about as user friendly as a chainsaw. It was really, really bad, Patreon's website. So for all those reasons all coming together, that's why we said enough's enough with Patreon. And Buy Me a Coffee is a much simpler thing, because if you want to support the channel and what we do here, basically you just go on buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed and think of it, as I said, as a virtual tip jar. You just type in whatever amount you want, or whether it's £1 or £2 or £1.50 or whatever, and click it, and then it asks you to enter your payment details from a card and that, so you don't have to mess about with PayPal, and then you just send it and it's a one-off payment and it never bothers you again, and stuff. We will be doing like a subscription thing for people who want to give a little bit every month. We will be rolling that out later, but for now it's just a one-off thing, because people have said, how can we support you and what you do now you've got rid of Patreon, and this is the way of doing it. buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed. Yeah, and they don't take anywhere near as much of a slice of it as Patreon do. And Apple don't get any of it from Buy Me a Coffee either, as far as I'm aware. Right, so it's all happening. It's all happening. Don't I have time to just look at things really? Right. Okay, that's all good. So there's been nothing really happened on the telephone front recently, other than this Viscount arriving. But other than that, there's been no news to report really. Also, there is a little bit of news from the radio station. We've got a couple of these now. These are HP Thin clients. They're basically mini computers that don't draw much power. Your normal computer, if you've got a normal desktop computer or something, it probably draws about 200 or 300 watts of power. These draw about 20 watts of power. So 10-15 times less power than a normal computer. So a similar version of this, a different model of this, but a similar thing to this, is what I've used to run CNET as the CNET server, as the telephone exchange. It's sat on the windowsill just up there. We're going to be getting CNET up and running again very soon, but we're going to be using these as well. I think one of these is going to get hooked up to my TV with a ad blocker on it to stop the YouTube ads, because the YouTube ads are just getting ridiculous, and on a smart TV there's no way of putting an ad blocker on there. So what I'm going to do is, instead of playing YouTube by using YouTube's app on the smart TV, I am going to run YouTube on this and just connect it by a DVI cable to the smart TV, and then on this I can install whatever browser I want to play YouTube in, and which will probably be Firefox, and I can also install an ad blocker on it to get rid of those really annoying YouTube adverts, because YouTube and some of the content creators as well, frankly, have got very, very, very greedy indeed. And people are saying, oh, if you put an ad blocker on, you're going to be you're basically taking money out of the mouths of the content creators. Well, my answer to that is, the content creators should not have got as greedy. If the content creators just ran one ad every 20 minutes, like TV companies do here in the UK, then, or one ad break every 20 minutes, that'd be fine. I'd watch the ads. But when it's 2 minutes of content, then 3 minutes of unskippable adverts, that is greedy. And so, because they've been greedy, they're going to be punished with this. And if I get it working, I will let you know exactly how I've done it. These cost £15 on eBay. So I will let you know how I've done it. It's a T510 thin client, if you want to know what it is. So I've got two of them, and one up there, that's not a T510, that one, that's, I don't know what that one is, but that's the one that does CNET, and has done CNET for ages and ages and ages, and I'm hoping that over this Christmas break I am going to get CNET up and running again, so people will be able to use their ATAs and their old phones to phone each other and stuff. So yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to achieve over the next few days. New Year is marching swiftly onwards. So that is all the stuff to do. Another thing that I found, telephone related, that I found recently, bought it some time ago. Well, it came in a job lot of stuff. Does anybody know what this is? It is telephone related. It's made by Smiths, who make clocks, but it is telephone related. It is actually a call timer thing, and what you do basically is you turn this and turn it on with that switch there, and you wind it up that's it. Start there like that, and it's ticking now, and I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the white bit? Can you see it gradually moving round? and that tells you how long you've been on the phone and theoretically how much it's cost you. And when you come off the phone, you just put that across and that stops it ticking. Then when you go back on again, you can turn it on again and it tells you again, or you can reset it that way, which also technically winds it up, and then set it going again. So it's a call timer, a Smith's call timer. Brilliant little device. You could get them in black as well. This is a white one, but you could get black ones as well. But yeah, fantastic little thing. Just part of the old telephone story. I felt we should have one to add to the collection. So there it is. Right, that I think is probably going to be about as far as we go today. One or two people have now joined us on the stream. We will be back. Are we on next week? Just thinking what I'm doing now, because I can't. So busy. I don't know if I'm coming or going at the minute. Yes, I think we are on next Sunday, around about 6:30 next Sunday. Yeah, hopefully we'll start getting back to normal now. We're getting Christmas and that out of the way. But yeah, thanks for bearing with us since we've had all these computer issues and that. And also, thanks for bearing with us through the thing on Christmas Eve, which apparently didn't go very well again. I was doing it about Britain's smallest estate, the thing on Christmas Eve, live, and it was all going okay at my end. And later I spoke to somebody who'd watched it and said they thought I'd filmed it on a potato. The quality of it was that bad. But again, that's because of YouTube's own app, because I made the mistake there of using YouTube's in-house app. Now, earlier in the summer, when we went and did that big day out in Blackpool, I didn't use any of YouTube's own software, and it was much better from Blackpool. So if you want to go back and watch that, it is still on. It is still up, and you're probably better to go back and watch it now, not live, because it was one long stream all day, but most of it was just the chat. But we kept coming on live and doing something, then going off for a bit, and then coming back on later and repositioned and stuff. So now it's recorded. You can skip through the bits where we were repositioning and just watch the bits where we're actually on, and you'll find Gambo, Dominic and myself in Blackpool, discovering vintage telephone boxes, looking at the latest tramway extension to North Station just before it opened, and also on our quest to find out where Alan Bradley on Coronation Street got knocked down by a Blackpool tram. We eventually found it, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be to find. But we did eventually find it. Yeah, that's all on the big day out in Blackpool that we did over the summer. If you want to go back and have a little look at that, and remember, all the Andy Shed lives going back umpteen years now are all on the channel as well. So if you're short of something to watch over Christmas, go back and look at them. For the fans of Escape the Shed, people keep asking me, say, when are you doing some more Escape the Sheds? Because they're good, they are. Where you do that, the abandoned railway walks and stuff like that. Hopefully there's some coming up soon. We've got things that we want to do on them, but you have to do them when the weather's decent, because they're outside basically, and they take a lot of doing. They take a lot of time to actually do, as Dominic will attest to, because he was on one of them. But yeah, we are planning to do some more Escape the Sheds fairly soon. But from me for now, I think that is about as far as we're going to be going for today. Time for me to go and have my pizza. It just remains for me to say thanks to everybody once again for watching, and also for taking part there in the chat. Remember the new Patreon replacement thing, to Buy Me a Coffee. It's there, buymeacoffee.com/Andy'sShed, and I will see you next week around about the same time, 6:30, probably in the same place as well. But from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead. It'll be next year, next time I see you. So Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.